A woman lifted a statue of the Virgin Mary in the middle of a crowded airport, ready to throw it on the floor. Everyone was staring. No one understood. But what no one knew was the reason, and when they found out, no one could hold back their tears. A Virgin Mary miracle that started in the most unexpected way. But before we continue, leave a comment saying where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I would love to see how far the Virgin Mary miracles are reaching. You know that type of person who's at their breaking point? Kate was that type of person that afternoon. 50 years old, investment analyst in Chicago, the kind of woman who built her entire career solving problems, finding solutions, never asking anyone for help. She was at the Florida airport, delayed flight, crowded boarding area, and no place to sit. Kate walked back and forth, took her phone out of her pocket, looked at the screen. No messages. Put it away. 2 minutes later, took it out again. You know when someone is waiting for news they don't want to receive? It was exactly like that. Kate looked around. Families occupying entire rows, executives on laptops, teenagers with headphones, elderly people napping, everyone sitting, no empty spots. That's when she saw it. A seat in the corner of the room, next to a white-haired lady. Kate went over there, quick steps, determined. But when she got close, she stopped, because the seat wasn't empty. There was a statue of the Virgin Mary there. Madeline was 70 years old. White hair pulled back in a bun, gold-framed glasses, the kind of lady who smiles at strangers and starts conversations in the supermarket line. She was heading home. She had spent 2 weeks in Florida visiting her granddaughter, Lauren, 23 years old, nurse, first real job, first apartment on her own. Madeline helped assemble furniture, taught recipes, kept her company, grandmother things. At the goodbye at the airport, Lauren had given her a gift, a statue of the Virgin Mary, small, hand-painted. "So you'll remember me every time you pray," Lauren said, her eyes full of tears. Madeline cried too, hugged her granddaughter for a long time, promised to call every day, promised to come back soon, promised to keep the statue in the most special place in the house. Now sitting in the boarding area, Madeline had placed the statue on the seat next to her, just for a moment. She needed to find her phone charger in her purse. It was at the bottom somewhere, lost among tissues and mint candies. She was so focused that she didn't even notice when a woman stopped in front of her. "Excuse me," Kate said. Madeline didn't hear, kept looking through her purse. "Excuse me," Kate repeated. Louder this time, her tone already loaded with irritation. Madeline looked up, saw the woman standing there, dark suit, hair pulled back, deep shadows under her eyes. "Yes? Can you remove that from the seat?" Kate said, pointing at the statue. Madeline looked at the statue, looked at Kate, looked around. Only then did she realize there were no more empty spots in the entire room. "Oh, of course, I'm sorry," Madeline said, starting to stand up to get the statue. But her movements were slow. 70 years old, joints that didn't cooperate like they used to, and Kate had no patience. "There are people standing throughout the entire airport and you put a statue on the seat, as if it were a person?" Kate said. The people around started looking. Madeline felt her face getting hot, not from anger, from embarrassment. "Miss, I'm really sorry. It wasn't my intention to bother anyone. Let me just—" But before Madeline could finish her sentence, Kate did something no one expected. She grabbed the statue from the seat. Kate held the statue with both hands. It was heavier than it looked, solid, cold. Madeline's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" she asked. Her voice shaking. Kate didn't respond. She raised the statue, her hand stretched out, ready to throw it on the floor. The boarding area fell silent, that kind of silence that happens when everyone holds their breath at the same time. Madeline stood up, her hands extended, as if she could prevent what was about to happen. "Please," Madeline said, "please don't do that." "It's a gift from my granddaughter." Kate heard the words. Granddaughter. gift. But the anger was so big that nothing else mattered in that moment. She wanted to break something, anything, because inside she was already broken. Her hands remained raised, and then it happened. Kate looked at the statue in her hands and saw the face of the Virgin Mary, the serene eyes, the hands joined in prayer, the expression of peace. Kate froze, her hands still raised, but she couldn't move, couldn't throw it, couldn't do anything. And then she felt it. A scent, soft, sweet, unmistakable. Roses. Kate looked around. There were no flowers nearby. There was no flower shop in the boarding area. But the scent was there, strong, impossible to ignore. Kate's hands started shaking. Something was happening, something she didn't understand. Slowly, very slowly, she lowered her hands. She stood staring at the statue for a moment, the serene face of the Virgin. The eyes that seemed to look at her. Without saying a word, Kate placed the statue back on the seat and walked away. Kate crossed the boarding area. People made way. No one wanted to be near that woman. She went to the farthest corner, near a large window showing the runway. She stood with her back to everyone, looking at the planes outside, her hands still shaking, the scent of roses still there, weaker now, but still present. What had just happened? Kate didn't understand. She was ready to throw it, wanted to scream, wanted to cry, wanted someone to feel a piece of the pain she was feeling. But when she looked at the Virgin's face, when she felt that scent, Kate pressed her forehead against the cold glass of the window, closed her eyes. On the other side of the room, Madeline was still standing, the statue back in her hands, pressed against her chest. A woman approached her. "Are you okay?" she asked. Madeline nodded, yes. But her eyes were somewhere else. They were on the woman near the window, the woman in the dark suit who had almost damaged Lauren's gift. Madeline put the statue in her purse, carefully, wrapped in a tissue. She should be angry, should want distance. But that's not what she felt. She felt she needed to go over there. Kate heard footsteps approaching. Didn't turn around. "Can I stay here?" a voice asked. Kate recognized it. The lady with the statue. "Do whatever you want," she replied. Still with her back turned, Madeline stood beside her, looking at the window, at the planes. Silence. Heavy. Full of unspoken things. It was Kate who broke it. "I don't know what happened to me. I've never done anything like that in my life." "I know," Madeline said. Kate turned, looked at the lady. "How do you know?" "Because I saw your eyes. When you held the statue, it wasn't anger, it was pain." Kate felt her chest tighten, turned back to the window. "You don't know me." "I don't. But I know pain when I see it. I've seen plenty in my life." A plane took off outside. The sound passed through the glass. "What's your name?" Madeline asked. Kate hesitated, didn't want conversation, didn't want friendship, wanted to be alone, but something about that lady. Something in her voice. "Kate." "I'm Madeline, and that statue you held. It's a gift from my granddaughter Lauren, the first granddaughter I had." "Why are you here?" Kate asked. "Why did you come talk to me?" Madeline thought before answering. "Because I look at you and see someone carrying a very heavy weight alone." Kate closed her eyes. "You don't know anything about me. I know that nobody almost throws a statue on the floor because they're having a bad day. That comes from a deeper place." Kate didn't respond. "You don't need to tell me anything," Madeline said. "But if you wanna, I'm here." Time passed. 5 minutes. 10. Kate looked outside. "You said you've seen a lot of pain in your life," Kate said suddenly. "What did you mean?" Madeline sighed. "I raised 3, lost a husband, lost father, mother, 2 siblings. I've been in the hospital more times than I can count, waiting, praying, not knowing if the person I loved would wake up the next day." Kate listened in silence. "Life does that to us, puts weight on our backs, one after another, and we think we won't make it, that we'll break. And if we break?" Kate asked. "And if we're not strong enough? Then we ask for help, lean on someone, pray. Kate made a bitter sound. It's been years since I prayed. I stopped believing anyone was listening. Madeline nodded. Many people feel that, especially when things get difficult. Kate stayed silent, looking outside. And then the words came out, before she could hold them back. I have a son. Madeline turned, looked at Kate, waited. His name is Ethan. He's 8 years old. Light hair, blue eyes. Kate stopped. Swallowed hard. He's sick. The word hung in the air. The doctors in Chicago did everything they could. Everything. But it wasn't working. So they told me about a specialist here in Florida. If anyone could help, it was him. Kate took a deep breath. I came yesterday. Alone. My husband stayed with Ethan. I took a plane, went to the specialist's office, showed all the tests, explained everything. She stopped again, her hands shaking. And he said there was nothing to be done. That the case was too complex, that I should make the most of the time that's left. Kate's voice broke on the last sentence. Time that's left, as if her son had an expiration date. I spent the entire night at the hotel without sleeping, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how I was going to tell my husband, thinking about how I was going to look at Ethan again, knowing that... She couldn't finish. The tears she'd been holding finally fell. Madeline felt her own eyes fill. She took Kate's hand, held it tight. I'm so sorry, Madeline said. I'm truly sorry, Kate cried. There, at the airport, in front of a stranger. For the first time since receiving the news, she cried for real. You should hate me. I almost broke your granddaughter's gift. But you didn't. Kate wiped her face. I don't know why I stopped. I smelled roses, strong, out of nowhere, and I couldn't move any more. Madeline looked at Kate for a long moment. It's a sign, from the Virgin Mary. When she wants to show she's present, Kate almost laughed. But there was no humor. That's crazy. I don't believe in those things. You don't need to believe. The speaker crackled. Passengers on the flight to Chicago, please proceed to the boarding gate. Kate looked at Madeline. That's our flight. It is, Madeline said. They went to the line, side by side, boarded, entered the plane. Kate was at the window, Madeline at the aisle. The middle seat stayed empty between them. No one showed up to take it. The plane took off. The lights became small below, then disappeared. Kate rested her head against the window, looking at the darkness outside. Can I tell you something? Madeline asked. Kate turned. When you raised the statue to throw it, I asked Our Lady to touch your heart. Kate felt a shiver down her spine. And you stopped, Madeline continued, and I knew my prayer was heard. Kate said nothing, but thought about the scent of roses. The strange sensation when she looked at the statue, the peace she felt for a second. Madeline opened her purse, searched for something, took out a small object, a rosary, old, the dark wooden beads worn from use, the faded metal crucifix. This rosary belonged to my mother, Madeline said. She prayed with it every day. When she passed, I kept it, and I've been praying with it ever since. It's always with me. Madeline held the rosary lovingly, her fingers passing over the beads. I want you to have it. Kate's eyes widened. No, I can't accept it. It was your mother's. That's exactly why I want to give it to you. This rosary needs someone who needs it, and you need it, Kate. But I don't know how to pray. It's been years since... You don't need to know. Just hold it. Just talk with her, with God, with yourself. What matters is not feeling alone. Kate looked at the rosary, at the beads worn by time, by use, by the prayers of women she never met. She took it. Thank you, she whispered. The plane landed in Chicago at 11 at night. Kate and Madeline walked together to the exit, stopped near the doors. I don't know how to thank you, Kate said, for everything, for the conversation, for the rosary, for not hating me. Madeline smiled, that gentle smile that seemed to come from a very deep place. We never know the battle the other person is fighting. You taught me that today. I taught you? Reminded me to have patience, to see the pain behind. The two hugged, there in the nearly empty airport. "Take care of that boy," Madeline said in Kate's ear. "And take care of yourself, too. You don't need to be strong alone." "Thank you." Madeline walked away. Kate kept watching until she disappeared. Then she opened her hand, looked at the rosary. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel completely alone. Kate's husband was waiting in the parking lot. Richard. The face of someone who also hadn't slept in days. When Kate got in the car, he looked at her, waiting. What did the specialist say? Kate held his gaze, said there's nothing to be done. Richard closed his eyes, gripped the steering wheel. For a moment it seemed he would break. "And now?" he asked, his voice hoarse. Kate put her hand in her pocket, felt the rosary. "Now we go home, stay with Ethan, and pray." Richard looked at her, surprised. "Pray?" "Yes, pray." He didn't ask where that had come from, just started the car. And they went home. That night, after Richard fell asleep, Kate went to Ethan's room. He was sleeping, hair spread on the pillow. Kate sat on the edge of the bed, took the rosary from her pocket. It had been years since the last time she'd prayed. She didn't remember the words anymore, didn't know where to start. Kate closed her eyes, held the rosary with both hands. "I don't know if anyone is listening," she began, her voice low. "I don't know if this works, but I'm asking for my son. For Ethan. He didn't do anything wrong." The tears started falling. "Virgin Mary, if you're there, please, please take care of my son. Don't let him—" She couldn't finish, but she didn't need to. The request was made. Kate stayed there for a long time, holding the rosary, crying silently, watching Ethan sleep. And at some point she fell asleep, right there, on the edge of her son's bed. Ethan woke up different. Kate was in the kitchen making coffee when she heard footsteps in the hallway. Small, quick, footsteps she hadn't heard in weeks. Ethan appeared in the doorway, messy hair, eyes still sleepy, but there was something different about him. "Mom, I want pancakes." Kate almost dropped her cup. "What?" "Pancakes, with honey. Can you make them?" She looked at her son. Ethan hadn't asked for food in weeks, could barely eat what she put in front of him. And now he was there, asking for pancakes. "Of course," Kate said, her voice shaking. "Of course I can." She made the pancakes. Ethan ate 2, asked for juice, drank 2 glasses, then asked to watch cartoons in the living room. Kate stood still in the kitchen doorway, watching her son sitting on the couch, laughing at a silly episode of a cartoon about dogs, laughing. How long had it been since she'd heard that laugh? Richard came down the stairs, saw Ethan on the couch, looked at Kate. "He's—" "I know," Kate said. They both stood there, watching, not believing. Kate kept praying every night, with Madeline's rosary. Sometimes for 10 minutes, sometimes for an hour. Sometimes she said nothing, just held the beads and stayed there. 2 weeks later, the routine tests showed something unexpected. Kate and Richard were in the doctor's office, the same room where they'd heard so many bad news, the same anxiety in their chests. The doctor came in with a folder in his hand. His expression was different. It wasn't the expression of someone about to give bad news. "I need to show you something," the doctor said, opening the folder. He placed 2 tests on the table. One from 2 weeks ago, one from today. "These are Ethan's markers. This here," he pointed to the first test, "is where he was. And this here," he pointed to the second, "is where he is now." Kate looked at the numbers. She didn't understand much about medicine, but she understood that the numbers on the second test were better. "What does this mean?" she asked. The doctor took off his glasses, rubbed his eyes. "This is unexpected," the doctor said. "It wasn't what the models predicted. I had the tests repeated, the results confirmed." Kate felt her heart speed up. What caused this? "I don't know. The treatment might be working better than we expected. His body might be responding in an atypical way. It could be a combination of factors." He paused. "I'm not going to lie to you. I can't explain this." Kate left the hospital that day with a lighter heart. It wasn't a cure, but it was something, a thread of hope where before there was none. In the car, she held Richard's hand. "Do you think that—" he started. "I don't know," Kate said. "I don't know what I think. I just know I'm going to keep praying." The tests kept improving. The doctor couldn't explain it. Called other specialists, had meetings, conferences, looked at the tests from every possible angle. "I showed Ethan's case to 3 colleagues," the doctor said at an appointment. "None of them could explain this improvement." "But he's improving," Kate said. "That's what matters." "He is. And I need to be honest with you. For the first time since the diagnosis, I'm optimistic." Optimistic. Kate had to hold on to the chair. The word seemed impossible, seemed like a dream. Kate cried, right there in the office. Tears of relief, of gratitude, of something she couldn't name. Ethan was running through the backyard, running, for real, chasing the neighbor's dog that had escaped through the fence. Kate was at the kitchen window, a cup of coffee in her hand, tears rolling down her face, but they were different tears now. She watched her son jump, trip on the grass, fall, get up, keep running. 3 months ago, he could barely get out of bed. Richard came over, hugged his wife. "Look at him," Richard said. "Look at our son." "I'm looking. I can't stop looking." The doctors were surprised, confused even. "Exceptional response to treatment," was what they said. Kate knew it was more than treatment. She couldn't prove it, wasn't going to try to convince anyone. But she knew. Deep in her heart, she knew that something had happened at that airport. In the moment she looked at the Virgin Mary statue, in the moment she smelled the roses, in the moment a white-haired lady asked, "Can I stay here?" Ethan came running back into the house, smiling. "Mom, Mrs. Margaret's dog is really fast, but I almost caught him." Kate crouched down, hugged her son. "I know, I saw. Can I have water? I'm really thirsty." "You can, of course you can." Ethan went to the refrigerator, got a bottle of water. Kate kept watching, because ordinary moments were the greatest miracle of all. Kate still prayed every night, with Madeline's rosary. It had become part of her life, as natural as brushing her teeth, as essential as breathing. Richard never asked about the rosary. But he noticed the change in his wife. She was calmer, more present, more at peace. One day, months later, Kate decided to tell him. They were sitting on the living room couch. Ethan had already gone to sleep. The house was silent. "I need to tell you something," Kate said. Richard looked at her, waited. Kate told everything from the beginning. The flight, the delay, the statue on the seat, the outburst, the moment she raised the statue to throw it, the scent of roses, the freezing, Madeline, the conversation, the rosary. She didn't leave anything out, didn't try to rationalize, just told the story as it happened. When she finished, Richard was silent for a long moment. "I didn't know how to tell you. It seems crazy." "It doesn't seem crazy." Kate looked at him surprised. "It doesn't?" Richard took her hand. "Kate, our son was getting worse. All the specialists said there was nothing to be done, and suddenly things started to change. The tests improved. He started eating again. Smiling, running," he paused. "I don't know what happened at that airport. Don't know if it was a miracle. Don't know if it was the treatment. Don't know if it was coincidence. But I know something changed. And I know you changed too." Kate felt her eyes burning. "Do you think it was a miracle?" she asked. Richard thought before answering. "I think a 70-year-old lady found you at the worst moment of your life, listened to you when you needed to be heard, gave you that rosary when you needed something to hold on to, and since that day everything started to change." He squeezed her hand. "And I'm grateful for that. Grateful she found you. Grateful you stopped. Grateful for everything." Kate rested her head on her husband's shoulder. "I'm grateful too." The tests kept improving. The doctor used words like remission. He was still careful. "But you know how I am," the doctor continued. I don't like to promise what I can't deliver. We'll continue monitoring, but today, at this moment, I can say that Ethan is well. Well, a simple word, but it meant everything. 1 year later, Kate was at an airport again, Atlanta, connection for a work meeting. First trip since that day in Florida. She didn't want to travel, didn't want to leave Ethan. But Richard insisted. Life needed to continue, and Ethan was well. Very well. The boarding area was full, all seats occupied, people walking back and forth, the normal chaos of airports. Kate was standing near a column, her purse on her shoulder, her phone in her hand, checking if there were any messages from home, and she smiled, because she remembered a white-haired lady, a Virgin Mary statue, an occupied seat, a conversation that changed everything. "Thank you, Madeline," she said quietly to no one in particular, to someone specific. "Thank you, Virgin Mary, for everything." Sometimes the greatest miracles start in the most unlikely places. A crowded boarding area, a Virgin Mary statue occupying a seat, a woman at the edge of pain, a white-haired lady looking for her charger in her purse, coincidences that seem planned, encounters that seem arranged, moments that seem destined. Kate never knew how to explain exactly what happened that day. If it was coincidence, if it was something bigger, something she couldn't name. But she knew some things. She knew that when she looked at the Virgin Mary's face, something changed inside her. A key turned. A door opened. Something that was stuck came loose. She knew that when she smelled roses, there in the middle of the airport, where there were no flowers, something stopped her from throwing it. It wasn't willpower. It wasn't conscious decision. It was something else. She knew that when Madeline asked, "Can I stay here?" her life took another direction. A 70-year-old stranger, who she never saw again, changed everything. Sometimes Kate thought she had made it all up. But then she looked at the rosary, the dark beads, the metal crucifix, a real object, solid, that someone placed in her hands. And she knew it was true. And every night before sleeping, Kate holds an old rosary. She prays, no longer asking for healing, no longer asking for help, thanking. For the rosary that reached her hands when she needed it most. For Madeline, wherever she is. For Lauren, the granddaughter who gave the statue that Kate almost threw on the floor. For the doctor who never gave up. For Richard, who held things together when she couldn't. And for the seat. That seat occupied by a statue, the seat she wanted because she was tired. Sometimes Kate thinks about what would have happened if she had thrown the statue, if she hadn't smelled the scent, if she hadn't stopped, if Madeline hadn't come to talk to her. It would be another story, with another ending, but it wasn't, because miracles happen, not the way we expect, not the way we imagine, not with lights and trumpets and angels appearing. We just need to be paying attention. Before finishing, I want to invite you to be part of our prayer community for the Virgin Mary, a space of faith and hope where people from all over the world unite to pray and share received graces. If you feel in your heart the desire to be part of this prayer chain, click below and become a channel member today and come pray with us. And look, if you made it here to the end of Kate's story, do something for me. Write in the comments rosary, the rosary that changed everything. I want to see how many hearts this story truly reached. And every time I read rosary in the comments, I'll know that one more person believes that miracles still happen. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Write in the comments about some miracle you've witnessed and share this video with someone who needs to renew their hope today. May the Virgin Mary continue blessing and protecting you and your family. Amen.